And now it's time for another Dice Tower review with Mike Vincent.
Hello everyone, thank you for watching. Michael Vincent here, and today we're taking a look at the penultimate adventure pack in the Shadows of Mirkwood cycle. This adventure pack is the Dead Marshes, and we see Tactics getting another bit of love again this week, as we have another Tactics hero to look at, along with the regular 2-player cards for each sphere. So let's jump in and take a look at the new hero, another Tactics hero, and one I think a lot of you are going to like. Okay, so our new Tactics hero for this adventure pack is Boromir. As I mentioned earlier, another Tactics hero, has a starting threat of 11, has 1 willpower, 3 attack, 2 defense, and 5 hit points. Has the Gondor, Noble, and Warrior trait, and has action raise your threat by 1 to ready Boromir. Action, discard Boromir to deal 2 damage to each enemy engaged with a single player. Okay, so Boromir has some really interesting abilities and pretty good stats as well. Not much of a quester, as Tactics heroes don't tend to be with 1 willpower, but certainly good at attacking with 3, and has a defense of 2 and 5 hit points, so certainly pretty sturdy. I think the most interesting thing about Boromir is his action, raise your threat by 1 to ready Boromir. So this is going to be very tempting in that, in theory, you can be questing, attacking, and defending with Boromir every turn. Now you're going to pay for it, of course, by raising your threat, but this is going to be really handy if you are in a quest that involves having a lot of exhaustion of your heroes, or if you're in a tight squeeze and you really need to be able to take care of some enemies with some blocking and some attacking as well. And this is something I've never used because it seems getting rid of a hero is not a good idea, but thematically I like it. Action, discard Boromir to do 2 damage to each enemy engaged with a single player. So if you're in a really tight pinch and you have lots of enemies engaged with you or your partner, and they all have 2 hit points or less, this is a really good way to clear the board, get rid of all those enemies, and have Boromir sort of valiantly sacrifice himself, and he will be heading into your discard pile. Now, of course, you can use effects like Landreval to bring him back into play, so it is worth considering that, you know, there are a few cards in this game that can bring your hero back to life. So this could be a way, again, in a very tight situation, to get rid of all the enemies and kind of start fresh. So yeah, very versatile in that you can quest with him, attack with him, defend with him, and by raising your threat, you can ready him again. So I know Boromir is a very popular hero. He's one I've certainly played with a few times. I do have, well, if you watched my top 10 heroes video, you would know I actually chose Leadership Boromir as a slight preference over Tactics Boromir, but Tactics Boromir was actually very close to making my top 10 heroes list. So thematically, I think he's very cool. I love the art on his card, and I think you can get a lot of bang for your buck with him. And even having 11 threat for his abilities, I think is pretty good. So one thing to consider with Boromir is your threat is going to be increasing if you're using this ability a lot. So it might make sense to put him in a Tactics Spirit deck, so therefore you will have some cards to lower your threat, or you may want to play with a partner who's playing Spirit who can play some cards on you, like the Galadriel's Greeting, to lower your threat and make this manageable. One other card I think worth considering to play with Boromir is another hero who we'll take a look at briefly, and that is LotR Aragorn. Yes, so with LotR Aragorn having the special ability, reduce your threat to your starting threat level, limit once per game, works very well with Boromir. So if you are willing to play a Tactics LotR deck, and you've been using Boromir's ability quite a bit to pump your threat up to dangerous levels, you can use Aragorn's ability to reduce your threat to its starting level, and then you can continue to either stop using Boromir to increase your threat, or do it all over again if that's what you choose to do. So Boromir, I think a good word to describe him is versatile, just because he's able to do so much stuff, and he's a very high valued hero because you can do so much with him in one turn. You may want to consider also buffing his willpower so that you can quest with him and then be ready to attack or defend as well, using his ability. So 2 thumbs up for Boromir, a great hero. I know some people took issue with him not being in my top 10, but I still think he's great and certainly worth considering with this adventure pack. Right, moving on. So to the surprise of nobody, if you've been paying attention to the previous adventure packs in this cycle, we have another Eagles card. Certainly a synergy that has been highlighted throughout this adventure cycle. So this is Vassal of the Windlord. He has a cost of 1, has 0 willpower, 3 attack, 0 defense, and 1 hit point. Is a creature and an eagle, has the ranged keyword, and reads Vassal of the Windlord cannot have restricted attachments. Forced. After an attack in which Vassal of the Windlord attacks, resolves, discard Vassal of the Windlord from play. So last time we took a look at lots of cards that could potentially benefit from allies leaving play. So Vassal of the Windlord could swoop in for a very cheap cost of 1, do some damage and take in an enemy with an attack of 3, and then potentially trigger some effects as well by leaving play. Another nice thing about Vassal of the Windlord is when we get around to, let's say, the Heirs of Numenor expansion and we introduce the battle keyword, this means you'll be questing with your attack strength. And this is where I find Vassal of the Windlord really shines. Yes, you have to discard him if you use him to attack an enemy, but if you're using him to quest, in a battle quest, then he's able to commit 3 every time and doesn't have to be discarded because you're not doing an attack. So Vassal of the Windlord, I think for a cost of 1, is a great ally. If you're making an Eagles deck, you're certainly going to want to consider Vassal of the Windlord. You may not want to use him unless you have a deck centered around synergies of characters leaving play. But if you're up against a quest which has the battle keyword, then I think Vassal of the Windlord is a very good candidate to consider if you're playing Tactics. And if you're playing a battle keyword quest anyways, then you're probably going to be playing Tactics. So Vassal of the Windlord, a great ally and a nice addition to the Eagle synergies. Okay, so our second Tactics card is an attachment. No Frodo Baggins does not come in this pack, but I'm highlighting him here because I think he is a clear candidate for this attachment. So we have the Song of Mocking. This is a song, has a cost of 1, and reads attached to a hero, action, exhaust Song of Mocking to choose another hero. Until the end of the phase, attached hero takes all damage assigned to the chosen hero. So this is not a card I've played with too much, but certainly I think it has some useful abilities if you pair it with the right hero. Obviously, any hero who has 5 hit points would probably be a clear candidate for this, particularly someone like Gimli, who would actually benefit from taking damage. But I think Frodo Baggins is the most clear candidate to receive Song of Mocking. So if you attach this to Frodo Baggins, then when if another hero is going to take damage, you can exhaust this card and have Frodo take the damage instead. And of course, we all know that Frodo Baggins will not take damage, but instead can reduce his threat. So this is a nice way to keep your party safe. If you don't have many healing effects, then this can be a way to avoid taking damage. The other way I think you could use Song of Mocking is to slap it on any hero with 5 hit points, and if you have some healers on the table, then you can continue to heal those heroes and protect your lower hit point heroes who may only have 2 or 3 hit points. So Song of Mocking is actually a card I feel like I should experiment a little more with. It's not one I've used very much, but I do see that it could be useful, particularly if you're running Frodo Baggins with Spirit, or if you have some healing with Lore and some heroes with 5 hit points. So I think a solid card and Song of Mocking. All right, so moving along to our lore cards, we have a fantastic attachment in Fast Hitch. Fast Hitch is a skill, has a cost of 1, and reads attached to a Hobbit character. Action, exhaust Fast Hitch to ready attached character. So this is an amazing card. Not necessarily when it came out, though it did combo well with Frodo Baggins, but there wasn't a whole lot of really good Hobbit characters for this to be attached to during this time. However, with the release of the Saga expansion, the Black Riders, we've seen 3 excellent, arguably 4, at least Hobbit heroes who suddenly this card just gains so much value. Sam Gamgee is an excellent hero, Merry is an excellent hero, Pippin is an excellent hero. the one from Black Riders, that is. And so Fast Hitch suddenly allows you to allow all these heroes to take 2 actions in 1 turn. So whether you want to quest and attack, or quest and defend, or attack and defend, this now gives your Hobbit heroes the ability to be twice as efficient in 1 round. So all you have to do for a cost of 1 is attach this to one of your Hobbit heroes, and suddenly they're able to do 2 actions in a turn. So I think Fast Hitch is an amazing card. It's cheap with a cost of 1, combos so well in a Hobbit deck. With those powerful Hobbit heroes that came out in the Black Riders expansion. And so if you're playing a Hobbit deck, you absolutely want to bring multiple copies of Fast Hitch. Just a great card, amazing, especially given how cheap it is. And readying is just such a very powerful ability in this game. We've seen a little bit of it with Unexpected Courage for Spirit. So LotR getting some readying ability here. And if you're playing a Hobbit deck, you want to bring this card. So excellent Fast Hitch. Okay, so our second LotR card for this pack is the Sylvan Tracker. The Sylvan Tracker is an ally, has a cost of 3, with 1 willpower, 1 attack, 1 defense, and 3 hit points. Has the Sylvan keyword and reads response: after a Sylvan character readies during the refresh phase, heal 1 damage from that character. So I have not been very impressed with the Sylvan Tracker up to this point. I find the Sylvan Tracker to be very expensive with a cost of 3. Given his stats are very low with only 1 willpower, 1 attack, and 1 defense. The 3 hit points is nice for being able to take a bit of damage, and the ability would make sense if you had enough Sylvan characters to warrant using it. Now, I'm being tentative here because I feel that we know the new cycle coming out for this game is the Dunlin Trap, and we know that this cycle is going to focus very heavily on the Sylvan keyword. Up until this point, the Sylvan keyword has been one of the least developed traits, and so I think once we see a lot of cards and a lot of new heroes that have the Sylvan trait, then suddenly Sylvan Tracker is going to be a lot more useful than it has been historically. I think in theory, the ability that every turn, if you can keep the Sylvan Tracker on the board, that every turn when a Sylvan character readies, you being able to heal 1 damage is very powerful. I think that has the potential to be very good if you have a deck that synergizes well and if you have lots of Sylvans. The problem is there just hasn't been that many Sylvan characters up to this point, and so this ally is quite expensive with a cost of 3. Now I can see, once we have more Sylvan heroes and Sylvan characters, that having the 3 hit points is nice because it means the Sylvan Tracker is going to be a little more sturdy, going to be able to stay on the board a little longer. And I think once we have those new cards, then we're going to see people taking another look at Sylvan Tracker and starting to play them. So jury's out on this one at this point. Had you asked me before I heard the Dunlin Trap was announced, I would have written this card off as not very good. But we'll have to see if this card becomes more useful. So I will be playing with this card once the Dunlin Trap comes out, and perhaps I'll give another update or take a look at the Sylvan keyword as a whole in a future video. So moving along.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at DicetowerNetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.